much, Mr. Lynch. And now we'll hear from the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Biggert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Schapiro, for being here. I've got just a couple questions. First of all, what's your opinion of the new derivative tax that's been proposed in the recently passed cap and trade bill? Do you support it, or do you have fears that such a tax and additional restrictions will send U.S. businesses and jobs abroad?
Oh, I'm afraid I'm not that familiar with the cap and trade bill. I'd love to be able to come back to you with a more thoughtful response.
Could you do that in writing?
Absolutely.
I appreciate
Thank you.
that. Then, in response to Mr. Royce's question, you mentioned forensic accounting and risk management, and that you're recruiting individuals with expertise in this area. Are you also looking into new technologies and outside firms with that kind of expertise? I'm, thinking of whether you have modeling or central data base.
Absolutely. We have a program going on right now where our risk assessment office is reviewing multiple different technologies and services that do valuation, that can run tests of performance numbers, for example, for hedge funds and others, to help us understand whether we have a pattern of improbably consistent and good results coming out of a particular investment vehicle. And it will be very important for us to enhance our technological capabilities. I will tell you, the agency's technology, well, I was a commissioner 20 years ago at the SEC and left about 15 years ago. I haven't seen a dramatic improvement in those 15 years from when I arrived this year. And I think it's, given sufficient budget resources, we really need to devote some time and attention to building the technology that will allow us to keep up with the most technologically enabled financial institutions in the world.
Thank you. Then last year, former SEC Chairman Chris Cox banned short selling of stocks in nearly 1,000 financial firms. And later, I believe he stated that he regretted imposing the ban and that its cost appeared to exceed its benefits. Given that these rules and comments were made in the beginning of our current financial crisis, why does the SEC now seem to think it's a good idea to heavily restrict the short selling?
Well, I think what Chairman Cox was referring to were outright bans on short selling, as well as as some other requirements the SEC put in place. And the analysis that was done after that period does show that while it resulted in lower short selling, as you would imagine, it also resulted in lower liquidity and much higher volatility. What we're doing is quite a different thing. We're looking in a very deliberate and thoughtful way at whether reinstatement of the uptick rule that had been in place for many, many years up until 2007 ought to be reconsidered in our marketplace, which does not stop short selling, but only permits short selling when the last prior transaction was done at a higher price. So we're looking at reinstatement of that rule, or as an alternative, a circuit breaker, so that if a particular stock declined by, say, 10%, short selling might be prohibited for a period of time thereafter in that stock. We put all of our proposals out for comment. We had a 60-day comment period. We've gotten 4,000 comment letters that we're now working our way through to determine what our next steps might be.
So the comment period is over, and now you're...
Comment period ended June 19th, okay. But it's not an emergency action. It's not being done in haste. It's being done in what we believe is a very thoughtful and deliberative way. We had a roundtable publicly held and brought in all different perspectives to talk about this issue, and we're trying to take it in a very thoughtful, deliberate way.
Do you have any date for when you expect that
I'm hoping that by the end of the summer we may be able to come back to the Commission with a proposal. I honestly don't know where the full Commission stands on the multiple proposals that we published for comment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.